Hi everyone. So I'm just here today for a quick video on how to take apart an Iaito, not a Shinken, an Iaito, and how to take care for it. First of all, it is not recommended at all to unmount, to take apart an Iaito. The reason is an Iaito is not a Shinken, so all pieces are not custom made to be perfectly fitted on the blade. The blade is standardized, and all parts are standardized, but of course the blade comes in various sizes, shapes. The tsuba have various thickness. So yes, there are small variations, and in order to account for those small variations, you will find inside the tsuka here, for example, that it's fitted with pieces of wood that are glued inside the tsuka. This is the same for all Japanese Iaito makers. This is a Minosaka Iaito, but it has nothing specific to Minosaka. They all fit Iaitos like that. For reference, a real tsuka for a Shinken, fitted for a Shinken, would cost something around 100,000 yen, $1,000, sorry. And for an Iaito, it's like 10,000 yen. So it's 10 times cheaper. It's the same thing for the saya and for most parts of the Iaito. So the first thing you want to do is to remove the meikugi. So you probably already know that there is a meikugi that comes here that you can remove fairly easily with a meikugi nuki, which has basically here a small pin and a small hammer. The meikugi comes within the hishigata, just in between two braids of the tsukaito on one side, and is hidden on the other side. So basically what you want to do is find where it's hidden on the other side, use the pin here, and use the hammer to push it outside. Yes, people will say I'm putting my hands on the blade and whatever, it's an aluminum blade, so it's not a Shinken. I'm just here for a DIY video, just to help you take apart the Iaito as quickly as possible. There is nothing traditional in that, it's just meant to be useful. So, just to protect the table, I'm just going to use that, protect the blade here. Be careful not to bend the blade because it's aluminium, so it can bend fairly easily. If it does, you can bend it back, but try to avoid it. Okay. And here you can take it off here. Then, this is an old Iaito, so it's already moving a little. This is why I recommend to avoid as much as possible to take apart an Iaito. Not for fun. If you have something to fix, do it. If you do not have any reasons for it, just don't do it. So basically, I recommend using a wooden hammer, tonkachi, because it's softer than the metal, so you can actually tap the metal without damaging the tsuba. Be careful not to shoot the tsuba too strong, or you're going to damage the blade exactly as it is here. This is damaged. If you want to avoid that, you should really try to hit from the back of the blade here. Basically, 2-3 hits should be enough, and then you should be able to take it apart fairly easily. If you can't, we're using this tsuba-ire, so it's to put and remove tsuba mainly from bokuto, boken, but it works well for an Iaito, you know, if you have to push here. Anyway, if you have wooden tools, you'll find what you need fairly easily. So when you take everything apart, you have the seppa, the tsuba, that seems to be okay here, and the other seppa. So let me explain how they fit the tsuba. The tsuba is fitted using a hammer, a strong one, not this one, and is slightly damaged, deformed, so it can fit the blade without moving. If your tsuba is moving this way, not from top to bottom, but this way, then one way to fix it is to redo this step, not with that, with a real iron-made tool. Tack. And you will extend a little bit the protuberance you have around the tsuba hole, the tsuba ana, and you can then put it back, and it should not move any longer. You can also remove the habaki. The habaki, the exact same way, is sometimes, like this time, fitted with a small piece of wood, so it doesn't move. This piece of wood also allows for some protection, because when you fit, okay, there's already a small piece inside. The habaki is fitted for this particular blade on the blade. So basically they put that on a table, and with an iron hammer they're just shooting the habaki, so it fits the blade. Iaito assembling is kind of a DIY assembling, which requires some good skills if you want to do it well, but it's not the same way a Shinken is assembled. So basically, if your tsuka is moving, you can add some wood inside. If your tsuba is moving, then you can just accentuate the tsuba fitting. If the tsuba is moving from top to bottom, you can just change the seppa. Seppa comes in a standard thickness on, I think, all Iaitos, which is like 2 millimeters, I think, 1 or 2 probably. You can have double thickness seppa. We have them on the website. This would help securing the tsuba up to, maybe 1 millimeters approximately. If it's more, then you're going to have a problem with the meikugi hole, because the meikugi hole must match if you want to put back the meikugi inside. So if you add a thicker seppa, here it's going to move a little bit, and you won't be able to put your meikugi. Okay. Now, to finish with this part, you should be able, more or less, to remove the fuchi. It's well fitted in this one. The fuchi is fitted the same way with pieces of wood, so I strongly recommend against taking it apart. And on most Iaitos you won't be able to remove the cashier because it's fitted directly with the Seido, so you cannot remove it. If it's moving a little bit, don't hesitate to use some DIY tools. Move a bit the Seido like this, and you can put some glue or some small pieces of wood if it fits inside, so it won't move anymore. For reference, most people I know refitted their Iaito after 2 to 5 years of use. If you're practicing every day, might be around 2 years until it starts rattling a little bit. No risks. It's not because it's rattling that there is any danger in practice, but you might want to fix it. And maybe 5 years if you practice something about twice a week. Remember, the blade worth pretty much nothing in an Iaito. The fitting is worth about 40,000 yen, $400 for the cheapest one. Well, you have a bit cheaper than that, but if you want decent fitting, it's about that, $400. On a Shinken, it's 150,000 to 250,000, including the saya, which is like 6, 7, 8 times more expensive. So don't be surprised if you have to refit your Iaito after a few years of use only. If the blade is bent, which is not the case of this one, you can bend it. It's okay. It's an aluminum alloy, so if you do it too strong, you're going to break it. But you can go fairly hard on the blade. I know, it's warping on the right. I know, it's straight again. This is exactly how the craftsmen do it at the workshop. When they fit the Iaito, they check if the blade is straight once it's assembled, and they do just that to make sure it's straight. So if you take your Iaito off your saya, first day, you're opening your package, you're very excited about it, take your Iaito off, and it's 2-3 centimeters in the saya, up, you warp your blade. That could be really disappointing. No worry, you can just bend it back so it's straight again. It's a weapon, it's a training tool. You have to be able to do some DIY. You have to be able to take care of your tools, of your training tools. It's the same for your hakama that you have to fix sometimes. It's the same for your boken that you have to take care of. The same for your sword. The same for everything. I mean, can you imagine any samurai not able to take apart his sword and fix it? So the last part is the saya. So basically, the saya is most of the time there is no pieces of wood added on the koiguchi. The reason is the saya is made tight and then it is sanded off to fit the habaki. If you want a new saya, it should be tight enough so you can sand it and it will be perfectly fitted. But after a while, it will loosen. And there is no need to buy another saya. You can just buy, I don't have any here, but it looks like tiny like wood paper. It's like a 1 millimeter, perhaps even less, thick piece of wood. It comes in sheets of approximately this size, maybe A5, and you can cut through it. You put some glue in it, put it inside the saya, use a tool to make sure it's securely flat on where you want to add it, and in 2-3 minutes it dries. I recommend waiting an hour or two, then you put your sword inside and then you sand it to adapt the habaki size, the koiguchi size to the habaki. An Iaito doesn't need any specific care. It's aluminum alloy, it won't rust, so you don't need the maintenance kit that you need for a Shinken. However, those pieces are made most of the time of iron or copper. It rusts. And depending on how you sweat and what your sweat is made of. Some people have sweat that contains lots of salt. Some people have a rather acidic sweat, which also favorizes the rusting. So if you are that kind of people who gets its sword piece rusted fast, like this one, use oil. Can be tsubaki oil or whatever oil you want. Tsubaki oil is pretty fine for this. After the class, you just wipe all the sweat from your Iaito, you put some oil on your hands or on a piece of clothes, whatever, and you put a thin layer of oil on the tsuba, as well as here and here. And that's it. It won't rust. It's the same for a Shinken blade. It's taken care of with oil, usually choji oil, but many people nowadays use oil such as tsubaki oil used for wooden products. The reason is it nourishes the saya. So this is my last advice. If you want to take care of your saya, you can simply put some oil with a piece of cloth or with your hands on the blade before having your Iaito put aside until the next practice. It will nourish the saya a little bit. And that's basically everything you need to know and need to do to take care of your Iaito. No, I'm just going to give you a few additional information that you might find useful. In Japan, all major makers make their blades in the same workshops. So they have almost the same specifications, almost. But a Minosaka blade is supposed to fit into a Jisei saya and vice versa. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you are in the situation in which you need to change the saya and you don't know, and you have another saya available from another workshop, try it, it may work. A Shinken saya is made exactly to the size of a blade. So basically would be something like that. And as you can see here, it's much longer. There are only, I think, 3 sizes for Iaito saya, so they can have stock and reduce costs. So if you order 2 shaku, 3 Sanzungobu, 3 Sun 5 Bu, 235 blade, you will get a 245 saya, which is significantly longer. It's the same with all makers. This is an interesting thing because it means that you can use an old Iaito saya that is in good shape, and if you throw away the Iaito, you can keep the saya. It will fit even a slightly longer blade or shorter blade. I think that's pretty much all. If you need to redo the Tsukaito, then basically you're in trouble. You can find some people doing that, I think, in the US, in Europe, in many countries for Shinken, but it's often very expensive. So look for them on Google and see if you can find someone to do that for a reasonable price. We can do it. If you take apart your Iaito and send only the tsuka, we can fix it. That makes things much easier because cheaper shipping fees and less trouble with importing the blade to Japan and re-exporting it, which may cost lots of taxes. If you need more advice or information, leave a comment in the description and I can make another video. I think that's pretty much all. Let's just finish by putting everything together. So not this one, because I don't have the seppa for it, but just this one. Just move the saya away. You can see that the seppa often have marks on them on one side. It's the inside of the seppa. So let's go. That's a Yujo habaki. Here it fits fairly easily on this one. If it doesn't, that's your friend. Gently. And that's perfect. Here. Which one was this Iaito's tsuba? I'm not even sure. Let's try the Nami. Tsuba. Don't do that. Okay, it's moving. Side, then here. You should have enough strength to fit it this way. If you don't, you can use like a piece of wood. And if you want to make sure you don't damage the cashier, just put some clothes on it. And just from here, and that should be enough. As I said, here mine is rattling. If I want to fix this one, I'm going to need to put a thicker seppa on it. Also, the blade is damaged here, so if I want to make sure the habaki isn't rattling, I'm going to have to put some pieces of wood inside. That could be done like this, actually. Yes, it's DIY, but you're going to need it. Okay, the hole is perfectly aligned, so I only have to put the meikugi back inside. Oh, or is it not? No. Looks like it is. So you're supposed to use this. But this is metal over wood, so actually it can damage the meikugi. I prefer using this one. And then the fitting is perfect. So the Iaito is rattling, and I will fix it later. Let's put it back in the saya. And here we are. Again, you need wooden hammer, a meikugi nuki, which has its pin, usually on the top. I don't know if there are different models. You might need some oil. I recommend having some, at least for taking care of the wood inside the saya and maybe protect the tsuba. And you may need some other tools. May or may not, depending on how strongly fitted is your Iaito. Okay, we're good for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this will be useful for you. If you have any questions, go in the comment below. I will answer the questions, or the team will answer the questions. And if another video is necessary, then we'll do another one. Thank you very much. Have a great day.